Salespeople don't know what they don't know if they don't practice and they're not studying. And so the number one mistake I could say is you're not good at sales. If you've been in sales for 5 years, you're not a good salesperson. You're just not. You have not gotten your 10,000 hours of time that it's going to take for you to become an expert. So stop walking around thinking that you don't smell. Stop thinking that you're the number one closer because you had a good month. Make sure that you always come from the thought that you're a student and that you can improve and get better. I would say that's been probably my number one attribute as a salesperson is I am always looking for something else that I can use. I'm always looking for a new weapon. I'm always looking for that new line. I'm always looking for something. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the best salesperson in the world because I'm not, but I'm going to continue growing. I'm better than a lot of people because I do study and I do practice and I do want to figure out what do I not know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Awesome Wholesaler Experience Podcast, where we look into the career, the job, and the lifestyle of investment and insurance product wholesaling. I'm your host, the founder of the Awesome Wholesaler Experience, and yours truly, Awesome Mike. Hey, everyone. We have yet another terrific guest on the show today, and this guy's actually got some tools in the kit bag that you wholesalers and financial advisors out there definitely need to look at and probably will be very excited to hear about. Anyways, let me introduce you to him a little bit here. He is Mr. Jordan Stupar. And in fact, Jordan is the CEO and founder of a thing called Sales Domination System. That's the CRM. And their mission out there is to rescue, I love that, rescue sales professionals from time-wasting CRMs. And everyone on the call and tuning in knows what that means for sure. Now, he's also been the founder, or is the founder, of Stupar Enterprises, a very entertaining young man, and love watching some of his videos. Encourage you to check out his YouTube channel. It's pretty lit, as they say nowadays. He's been the sales and marketing manager for our boy in Miami, Grant Cardone. Cardone Training Technologies Incorporated. Jordan is an avid Porsche enthusiast, according to my research. He did receive his formal education from the glamorous University of Wisconsin, eh? Welcome to the show, Jordan Stupar. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
I am awesome. Thanks for asking. That never gets old, by the way. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. And clearly, you are not in Milwaukee as we're speaking. So I appreciate you rubbing your world travels in our faces here as we brave upper Midwest tundra. But it is nice up here right now. But
yeah,
before we get into it, though, I wanted to ask you a quick question. Here's a question, dude. How many energy drinks do you consume on a daily basis?
It kind of goes up and down based on need and previous night's sleep, but I probably average about one every day.
Now, I hope you appreciate where I got that.
Of course. That came straight off one of my YouTube videos.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But it's funny, too. A lot of our listeners and people that are tuning in and watching this on YouTube, they are inside salespeople. They are external salespeople. So, dude, as soon as you said that, they were like Bang, they were like Red Bull, Rockstar, Monster, if you're, old, I guess. I don't know. But what's the deal? You've seen energy drinks kind of change and transform. This is my energy drink. It's called a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I like coffee. I like Bang. I really like the culture that they create, their company. And I think that the best tasting, most healthy energy drink. So that's my unpaid sponsorship for Bang.
Endorsement. Yeah. Is that Dwayne Ludwig's company, by the way?
No, it's Jack Owak.
Jack Owak.
The guy that owns it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne Ludwig, if you might know. He's up there actually. He does somewhere in Colorado. That's right. Your guy is Duke Rufus up there. I don't know if you're a big MMA fan or not, but Dwayne Bang Ludwig was his name. So I didn't know if they
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that smart. He's more of a punchy guy. But anyways, hey, so tell us, you've kind of grown up Midwest.
Yep.
And you're like, I got to get out of here. And you plant a flag in the Big Apple, New York City. And then I'm thinking you were like, man, the weather is too bad, whatever. And you jump down to Miami. Tell us, what was it like growing up in the Midwest? And then how did you end up, heading for the coast in a big city?
Yeah. So growing up in Wisconsin, I've always been in Milwaukee. I was born and raised there. Didn't travel a whole lot. I had a couple family vacations, but other than that, like most Midwesterners, you don't really just travel that much. And so you're really familiar with the people, you're really familiar with the culture, and the culture is, authenticity. It's hardworking. It's a blue collar. It's farming. It's beer drinking at the weekends. It's going to church, so on and so forth. And so those are some of the things that help shape me as a person. But I've always told myself, whether or not this is true, I've always told myself that I was kind of built and designed for just something more. And what I always pictured that being was something somewhere else. Pick Chicago, pick LA, pick New York, pick somewhere. And sales really was the thing that I used as an outlet to get out. I started really in my sales career going door to door. For 8 years, I sold vacuum cleaners, Kirby's, and Rainbows. I sold cutlery, but primarily sold alarm systems.
You're that guy knocking on my door.
I'm that guy, and you don't want me to show up. I promise you that, because it's a bit of a show. But I ended up using that experience of door to door, and I left Milwaukee when I was like 20, 21, moved to Virginia Beach for 6 months, moved down to Dallas, Texas for 3.5 years, moved up to New Jersey, then New York City, and then down to Miami. 5 years in Miami, back in Milwaukee now. Because I understand now that the opportunity that I've always wanted to create, it doesn't exist anywhere else other than wherever I'm at, because that's where opportunities exist. So I wanted to come back to Milwaukee. I'm super grateful that I did. And that's a little bit of my story of kind of my, getting started in sales and where it's taken me so far.
Yeah. One of the things you say a lot is you hold your phone up and you're like, I can work anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
Now, how do you think that technology has changed sales? I mean, sales is a emotional game. Sure, there's logic, but are you able? I mean, is it a reasonable thing to say that you can actually replace face-to-face connection with a phone?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I run an inside sales team. 99% of the business we do is either over the phone or over a Zoom call like this. I mean, we're doing a podcast right now. You're where you're at. I'm in Punta Cana, and I could be in anywhere right now doing this exact same thing. And once I'm done with this, I have demos lined up on Zoom where I'll be showing people Sales Domination System and hopefully doing business with them. And so, as a salesperson out there, if you're not really embracing technology and you're not really utilizing social media and you're not really doing the things today that you need to be doing, I mean, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, let me pump the brakes a little bit on the sales talk there, and I definitely want to go deep with you on that. And sorry for maybe being a little bit preemptive there, but I want to ask you a couple questions about some of these guys that are bragging about you. First, Brad Lee. And I know Brad, and he's got a nice platform set up, and it's online, and it's really in tune with what you're talking about. And I know you went out there and burned up a couple of inches off of some 911 tires, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you mentioned with Brad, you mentioned that the one thing that you learned, interacting with him and kind of watching what he's doing out there is that, it's about common sense. Is what you said. Can you tell me what you mean? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So Bradley, if you ever get the opportunity to hang out with him, just do it. I mean, even for 5 minutes. I love the guy. He's hysterical. I think he's like a comedian first, business owner, and sales guy second. But the common sense thing is, we were sitting in Brad's office, and we were kind of getting pitched on, his product Lightspeed, which is a great product. I've sold $6 million worth of it in the past. And before we asked, like, hey, what's the price of it? He says, well, I mean, first off, you have to become a customer, because we only do business with customers. And it's those types of lines that is common sense. It's completely true. And then once you say, yeah, I want to become a customer, he says, great. Now this is how much it costs. How do you want to do it? Because you've already told me you want to be a customer. Now you know how much it costs to be a customer. And then, how do you want to pay us? And it's those types of interactions with like a guy like Brad Lee that it is common sense, man. And it makes sense.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about your travels to Miami. And, I was looking at the dates on there. I actually stopped in the office down there in Miami back in December of 16. So I don't know
Sure.
if you were in the back there, pounding out
I was,
calls or whatever.
I was probably on the phones. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the old studio, not his new one, but the older one. And there was a
Yeah.
guy, Chris was at the door, kind of playing security and receptionist there.
Yep. I remember him. Yep.
That's when Farm Boy had just kind of landed there.
Yep.
You know who Farm Boy is, of course, right?
Yes, of course.
Steve's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so those are some interesting fellows that you have down there. You have the whole Cardone team, then you have Brad Lee's team, and when I look at what they do, it reminds me of like a champagne bottle or a boiling pot of water mentality, to where everything is rah rah, go go, energy drink, IVs, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Is that the only way you can sell? Because a lot of, let's call it, higher educated investment guys that are CPAs, CFPs, JDs, all these well-educated, maybe overly educated people, they don't necessarily respond to that. How do you bridge the
True.
gap, or is that just a self-imposed limitation that some people have?
I do think it's a mix of both. I mean, obviously, as much as I'd like to say, or anybody would like to say, that I can close anybody, it's just not true. There's going to be a large handful of people that Jordan Stupar, regardless of how I express myself, regardless of how I dress or my sales methodology or approaches, regardless of any of those things, they're just maybe not going to like me, and they're just not going to do business with me. And for me, that's absolutely fine. So going back to the rah, like make 500 phone calls and like burn it up. I do believe that you kind of have to have that, because the idea is to find as many opportunities as you possibly can, and understand that being part of sales, there's just going to be people that don't like your approach. They don't like your cold call. They don't like how informal or formal you sound. And so everybody has a little bit of a different approach. But I will say this, is that more often than not, salespeople are going to find themselves in a sales role or a sales job, selling a product that actually caters a little bit more to their style of selling, and allows them to engage with the type of people that they should be engaging with. For instance, I could probably do fairly well doing medical device sales. I know that it's a lucrative place. I know that you can make a ton of money doing it. However, Jordan Stupar is probably not the guy that's cut out to just call on doctors all day, because I don't really have anything in common with those folks. They're extremely educated. I don't know the difference between again, I don't even know the names of any of the products that are even in their office. So again, other folks that are more likely to be accepted by doctors, they're probably already doing medical device sales. So I think that helps kind of answer the question from a global perspective.
Yeah, and I embrace that. In fact, my name is Awesome Mike, not Aw Everyone Mike, because I only want to awe some of them,
Yeah.
Yeah. The second thing you alluded to is this, I have a system, a training system, and I use the word awesome as an acronym, and the letter M stands for momentum.
Yeah.
And I think that's called the inertia required, is to get fired up and to get on the phone and pre-game helmet slaps to get it going, to get that traction and get that momentum, and to be able to fly and to soar. How do you maintain that though, Jordan?
So a lot of people always are looking for motivation to accomplish tasks on a consistent basis, which good for you. And you can continue to do that for the rest of your life without getting any results. Working at Cardone's office, number one question people ask me all the time is, what did you learn? What was the number one thing that you learned down in Miami, from making 40 grand a year to making 500,000 and taking control of your life and turning it all around? What caused that? And the truth is, I just learned discipline. I learned that continuously, without getting results, without making money, without gaining that momentum, that you're going to sit on the phones for months and then nothing is going to work out for you. Yes, you'll get a couple of appointments. A couple of people will do a deal with you. But the whole idea of being in sales is to consistently do what you don't want to do. Because honestly, look at us. We're salespeople, man. Do we really want to pick up the phone today? Do I really want to do demos from Punta Cana, or should I go into the pool? It's about doing the things that you don't want to do day in, day out, and developing discipline. When you have discipline, motivation will become the thing that comes naturally based on the wins that you actually get from your discipline and from your work ethic. So, I mean, that there's no other way to do it but to do it.
Man, I love it, brother. You're preaching to the choir. In fact, you might know him, Jocko Willink. You've heard of Jocko?
Yeah, of course.
That's his whole mantra, is that discipline equals freedom. And I even like it, some people don't like to use a script. They feel like, oh, it doesn't sound natural. It sounds robotic, blah, 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 blah. What's your opinion about using a script, or should you just, be good enough to kind of, go with the flow?
Sure. So obviously I come from a strong sales training background. I'm a big believer in scripts, but I'm also a big believer in getting the right script. There's a lot of right ways to do things. There's a lot of wrong ways to do things. But regardless of what type of script you have, yes, I do believe that you should have it. I don't think it's something that you should always be using. I think sooner or later you should actually be able to internalize what that script is actually trying to do without having to think. Here's the deal about scripts is that when you get one, you're trying to say it the most natural way that you can to get the words right. The whole idea of being a great salesperson, regardless of your approach and your methodologies and blah blah blah, is to be unconsciously competent in a conversation with somebody, so that you don't have to think about your response. You don't have to think about your presentation. And instead, you can actually start offloading some of the energy that your brain needs for those conversations to start reading things like buying questions, buying signals. If you're standing in front of somebody, what is their body language actually telling you, so that you can alter and change your approach in real time to cater to the person that you're speaking to. And I think once you can do that, I think that you're in an elite level of salesmanship.
That leads right to my next question. How much do you value practice?
So practice makes perfect, right? Perfect practice makes perfect. And so, I'm a huge advocate for constant training. Regardless, I have another, video on YouTube of a time I was doing a little bit of training with my guys back in Milwaukee. And, he kind of was going in for the appointment with me. And I said, dude, why didn't you ask for my cell phone number? And he said, well, I do it every time. And because it's really easy. I said, dude, if it's easy, why not do it every single time? And so, yes, I'm a huge advocate for get it right. Here's the cliche, of course, is that amateurs are going to practice something until they get it right. Professionals are going to practice something until they can't get it wrong. And so that's all we're shooting for as sales professionals.
Wow. Say that one more time for us. That's a quotable right there, man.
Amateurs are going to practice something until they get it right. Professionals are going to practice something until they cannot get it wrong.
Yeah. And you look at any championship team,
yep,
whether it's in athletics or the military, and that's what they do. I think Coach Michael Burt, super coach, said it best. He said, training, and maybe Grant said it too. Who knows who said it? Maybe you came up with it, but it was once said that training is something you do, not something you did.
Yeah, that's Brad Lee's line right there.
Yeah, they're all going to fight over. It's like going up the baseball to see who gets it. But the validity of it still stands. So, you mentioned that you like to role play in the early morning hours with your team. Make sure they're ready to answer the phone calls and make appointments. That takes discipline too. How do you personally have the discipline to get up and go after it? And what maybe techniques can some of the audience use to get up and train with their teams and to make sure that they're still maintaining that championship level?
Yeah, so the idea is to come in on a Monday morning, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day. And before I actually give myself the opportunity to, cold call you, even somebody as, I guess, practiced as I am, there's still days I get rusty, where I hear, well, I'm busy. And it's like, what's that response again? Click. And as a salesperson on the phone, like literally you have maybe a quarter of a tenth of a second to really commit back into that phone call and give a good response. And if you're not there mentally, your mouth is not going to be there either. And of course the words are going to be missing, and then you're going to get slammed. And so every morning, I think it's really important. We don't do a whole like big sales pitch or anything like that. It's just the initial interactions with customers that we know we're going to have. I know that my guys are going to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Jeff, it's Jordan over here at SDS." And they're going to say, "I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm not the right person. We're good already with what we have. Call me back later. Shoot me an email." We know what we're going to hear. And so that morning role play gives us the opportunity to at least like start prepping for what it is that we're going to have to say on the phone in order to maximize our success. So role playing is a huge deal. If you're alone and don't have anybody in your life, I'm big fan of using the voice record on my iPhone. I also like pitching myself in the mirror. That's what I did back in the day. And then also, obviously, if you have a friend or a colleague or somebody that you can at least call, spend 10, 20 minutes just hammering each other on those types of objections. And I think that you'll find yourself having a little bit more success throughout the rest of your day.
Yeah, back in the day, one of my mentors we called it drill for skill. So it's an important part of every team does it. Every team has warm-ups, every military exercise before they cross the line of departure, they role play, contingencies come up. And I think that the trend is to seek comfort. So to avoid that, because it's uncomfortable, pitching you. I know that you know what I'm supposed to say. It's different than me pitching a stranger. The stranger, I can kind of, maybe try to wing it, or they're not as good. It's more difficult to pitch to your peers than it is to pitch to a customer.
True.
So that's a huge plus. I think the sales teams that employ that, like you're mentioning, will do much better than the ones that don't. Hey, let's talk about your current platform. The reason why I reached out to you is because I think you have a very valuable product. I think that you are forward thinking, forward leaning. You're new generation, new blood. You're what's next, what's happening now, what's next, all that good stuff, man. And my industry has gone through this evolution. And I say my industry, I think it's applicable to any relationship-based industry. And we've gone from the archaic Excel spreadsheets, okay, into this sales logics, Salesforce kind of, one steps in front of the other one. A couple of years later, the next one will step up. And they've kind of been the two kind of gorillas, or the 800-pound gorillas that are out there, at least in my narrow mindset. Can you tell us about Sales Domination and why you started that and what you're trying to do with it?
Yeah, so Sales Domination System is really about 5 different companies all wrapped into one, which I'll explain later. But in its essence, it was created by me because I hate CRMs. And obviously, working for a guy like Grant Cardone with that level of exposure and the audience size that I was able to amass, and the conversations I've had with executives at companies like Sprint, all the way down to your general manager of a car dealer, to financial companies, so on and so forth. I ask questions like, just as a sales guy to sales guy, like, do you like your CRM? And 99.9% of the people that I talk to hate it. So, okay, there's opportunity number 1. Opportunity number 2 is the fact that all of these antiquated systems that do exist, I've used a majority of the popular ones, about a dozen or so of them: Salesforce, HubSpot, Nutshell, blah, blah, blah. I've used them, and all they do is they all tackle the same problem. Where do I store my contact data? So if you have 338 CRM companies out there all solving one problem and all kind of priced the same, and some have different integrations or apps or whatever, but at the end of the day, all they are is customer repositories. And so if you think about what CRM actually stands for, Customer Relationship Manager, how are you actually developing a relationship with your customer if you're spending all your time on the CRM? And so again, I'll happy to answer questions or talk about the product, but I think the product is a little bit less important than the reason that it was birthed from pain. At Grant Cardone's office, I came in there day one. They gave me a computer, a legal pad, desk phone, and a pen. And they said, find car dealers, write them down on the legal pad, go to the page, hit meet the staff, find the general manager, write down their name, write down the dealership, write down the phone number, and call these people and do that like 75 times every single day. And I'm like, okay. Later on, that evolved into getting like Insightly or something from Google. And then that evolved into getting Infusionsoft. And then it involved getting into inside sales. And literally, I'm a guy now making $500,000 a year. When you start making, a reasonable amount of money, you start having a reasonable consideration of how you're actually spending your time. Because if I know that I can make $30,000 in a month, well, dude, what's costing me now that extra 10 grand a month that I might be losing by spending time? And the number one reason is my CRM. I'm spending 2 hours a day prospecting for business, and I'm spending 3 to 4 hours a day just doing data entry. Like, I'm a sales guy. I'm not an author. Like, I'm not a detail-oriented person. I'm not the most organized guy out there. And most of us aren't. We're salespeople. We want to just make money. And making money requires us to spend more time with customers. And so, again, I could talk about my product all day long, but the number one value that we have of creating our CRM is saving people time.
Why is it so difficult for us, I guess, hairy-backed sales guys to type in some notes into a CRM? Why is it? Do we not see the value in doing it? Don't we understand it's the long game?
Yeah. I've always asked myself that question, and I think, there are different types of people out there. There are like some secretaries out there that just kind of sit and do the organization. They fill out the calendars. They have notes for every single interaction. You couldn't put a gun to my head to make me do that. It's not the type of personality that I am. Probably the same with you, and I'm assuming most of your listeners as well. We're just gunslingers. We want to talk to people. We want to be accepted by people. We want to exchange value with other people. We want to close deals and make money, and then rinse and repeat. And so I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard for us to see the real value of doing all the notes. But I sure know this, is that if I can do the notes without having to do them myself, I'm listening.
Yeah, that's huge. And when you're talking about that, doing the notes without having to do them yourself, is that your secret sauce? Is that the magic behind SDS?
That's one of it. That's really just one piece of it. So we've got the fact that we record the phone calls, and we're literally about to release a feature that will transcribe that audio phone call into text and just push all those notes inside of the notes section. So again, you never have to do data entry after the phone call, and you never have to rely on yourself to write everything down frantically on a phone call, and you'll never miss a note, like 100% accuracy. Salesforce reported that 91% of all the data that goes into any CRM is inaccurate or goes bad within 12 months. 91%. So business owners and executives out there, they have to make business decisions on marketing and on sales and pricing and blah, blah, blah. How can they make accurate decisions with inaccurate data? It just doesn't make sense. And so that's another one of the problems that we're trying to solve, is the data problem that CRMs all have, because they're only as good as the users using them.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And I know that it's a pain in the neck for all the managers that are listening, where the requirement is to log your,
yeah,
put the numbers in, and they're trying to base that logical binary system to see who's performing, who's not performing, and kind of hold people accountable. How much weight do you give that? I mean, isn't sales really an emotional game, a relationship game, and all that data? I mean, does it really matter?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And here's why. Is from what we've talked about, no, none of that data really matters. You're going to win sales, you're going to lose sales, you'll lose a couple here and there because you forgot about it, whatever. The big picture is this, is big data. So you look at, say, your specific phone script that you love, you built it out for somebody. And right now, sales is all a subjective thing. Some of you guys might like this Zig Ziglar and nothing else matters. Some of you might enjoy somebody else, and that's it. Well, that's all fine and good, and we can have arguments and debates on different sales approaches. But at the end of the day, what if we could take at scale, we could take a company like yours or anybody else's, we could record all those phone calls. We could transcribe all those phone calls. And then we have, deals won, we have deals lost, how much it's actually worth. We'll actually be able to, we have another release here on being able to identify what type of buyer you're speaking to over the phone. So these types of things. Now, obviously, you have the phone call transcribing, and maybe you have your top guy at your office who just has that swag, he has that charm, he's just closing more deals than anybody else. Is it his script? Is it his approach? Is it his volume? Is it his tonality? Is it the words that he uses? What is it? And so we want to be able to identify these types of attributes. And so with that data, I can take your top guy and I can say, hey man, he doesn't say words like, hey Jim, just checking to see if maybe you got the email. We're going to report back to you that you sound tentative on that phone call. And when you sound tentative, your closing ratio goes down by 73%. Here is literally what you can fix in your sales approach to make you sound confident. And when you sound confident, your closing ratio goes up by 87%, Jim. So it's those types of managerial tools that we can then start using from big data. And that's the exciting part.
It really is. That really is a game changer to be able to look both on the positive and the negative and say, why did you lose that sale?
Yes.
This guy was selling and he's not selling. And let's take a look at your transcription and see how the conversation went. That's why the NFL watches film. That's why
exactly.
watch film. You threw the interception. What happened? And how do we
exactly?
Yeah, you threw the touchdown. Let's look at how you fake this out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's awesome. You mentioned 5 different companies. Can you kind of quickly go through the differences?
Yeah, I'll go through super quick. So at the end of the day, obviously, we start off with the foundation of being a CRM. Yeah, we host your customer data, their phone number, blah, blah, blah. Second thing that we do is we are a lead generation company. So our clients at no additional cost can have access to our database of over 250 million professionals. I mean, literally, it's B2B magic. B2C, I don't think we got because, I'm not going to be able to tell you who's in the market for a new Ford F-150. But if you're looking at CEOs, VPs, the biggest problems I had at Cardone's office, problem number 1 every day, what company can I work with? Problem number 2 is who do I actually reach out to in that company? Who's responsible as the decision maker? And 3, what's their contact data? We're going to solve all those problems for you with a couple of keystrokes, any search criteria, anywhere. We give you name, phone number, email address, social media profiles, cell phone numbers, so on and so forth. So we're a lead generation company. Third company that we are is we're a lead enrichment company, meaning I grab you and me meet at a cocktail party. It seems like we could be a good fit to do some business together, but the only thing I got from you was your name and your email address. Well, that's a problem because I want to curate a better conversation with you down the road. And so how can I learn more about this person without having to go into Google and crossing my fingers that I find your right profile? So we enter that data into Sales Domination System. You click one button that says enrich, and we're going to go crawl and scrub the rest of the internet and pull back the other information and fill in the other blanks. What's your LinkedIn profile? What's your phone number? What's your address? What city are you in? Are you on Gravatar, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, yada, 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 with hyperlinks. So I can just click on a button and boom, I'm already chatting with you now on LinkedIn. You've already received a request from me. So we give you 80 other points of data. I can talk about it all day, but it gets a little boring. The fourth company that we are is we're a communications company. Most CRMs require either that you use a desk phone or a mobile device to actually make the phone calls, or integrate with some other expensive phone dialer that you're paying 2 cents per minute or whatever. And there's just no indigenous phone calling. So we support international phone calling, unlimited minutes. I don't care how much you talk. And we're also able to send text messages, whether it's SMS, just that normal one that you write to your mom, hey, I love you. And then also MMS messages, the ones that have photo, video, meme, whatever. We support that as well through the system. And of course, we have a 2-way email sync. So literally all of the communication that you make with your customers is coming from your computer, your smartphone, or your tablet. And managers, we can report back to you on all of those metrics, how many phone calls, how much talk time, how many text messages, how many emails, and all of that data actually matters. So we're a communications company. And then lastly, is we're a marketing automation company. We have, I'll keep this short. I could talk about it for days. Basically, we have the ability to send out emails, either in a drip campaign format based on rules, or we can do broadcasts. And then we can also do the exact same thing with text messages. So if you want to do a text message broadcast, or you want to send a drip campaign to customers via text, you can do that as well. We're building a few other companies around what we're doing. I won't say what we're doing because we're trying to take down as many companies as we possibly can at one time.
Domination. I love it, man.
That's what we're shooting for.
Hey, brother, I love it. I think that I think you've done what the game changers do. Is you come into an industry, and I mean, maybe you're kind of catching these guys flat-footed. And you once said that if you're flat-footed in sales, you're getting dunked on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can dunk, but I'm saying, kudos, man. And I like it. And as a wholesaler, this is like making my life seem like it would be so much easier, and then even better.
That's all that we're shooting for. I'm not trying to be the end all be all for anything. I just want to be the person that saves you the most time, because time is money. I mean, at the end of the day, if you could spend 35% more time doing the things that you want to do rather than enter notes on a CRM, like, would you spend more time with your family? Would you go shopping more? Would you spend your time making more sales? What would you actually do with that time that you no longer have to spend prospecting for new leads and figuring out who to phone call and setting reminders and updating notes and all these other sales related activities? It's just, that's what we're trying to accomplish, is just save time.
Yeah. Okay. So where can we find out more information? I know we're going to put up a code where they can get a discount.
Sure.
When this gets published, the code will be established already. But
yep.
If you want to just kind of look around, it's just, what is it? salesdominationsystems.com. Is that what it is?
Yeah, you can go to salesdominationsystem.com. You can go to dominatesales.com. You can just reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. I try to obviously, put out as much content about it as I possibly can.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Wish you big luck. One of your, I guess, videos or whatever it was that I looked at, you mentioned that real estate agents never pick up the phone. Like, they don't pick the phone up. Well, here's the thing, dude. Financial advisors don't either.
Yeah.
So
true.
how do you give us some sales magic? Give us some Stupar voodoo, whatever. And
voodoo.
yeah, I mean, what are some of your secret sauce techniques on how we can get through and get them on the phone?
So, I mean, if you're reaching out to real estate agents and you're reaching out to financial advisors, the thing I would say the biggest mistake that any salesperson makes, and this goes for anybody really, is that you're only really using one point of contact. Maybe you're just leaving them a voicemail, and you're not doing anything else. This goes back into my product of Sales Domination: is click on a button, find their Twitter profile, find their LinkedIn profile, find their Facebook, and I guarantee sooner or later that person's going to answer you on one of those platforms. I know me right now, I have customers that pay me money every single month that no matter what will not pick up the phone for me. I have customers that don't text me back, but you send that person a Twitter private message, boom, instant response, because that's where they live. And so the biggest mistake that I see people making in the position, especially calling on folks that are known to not pick up their phone, is hit them up on social media. Shoot them. I respond to 100% of my DMs on Instagram, 100%. And so if you want to get in contact with Jordan Stupar, like, maybe I won't pick up the phone for you, but I definitely will answer your DM on Instagram. And so that would be some of that secret sauce that I have. And on top of that, if I can go in a little bit deeper and give you something that really works, send a video message. You have Twitter, you have their Instagram or LinkedIn, where you can actually send video content. Hold out your phone and talk to the person like a human being. Hey, Dan, it's Jordan over here. Just wanted to connect with you, show you I'm a real person, not some creepy guy trying to blow you up on the phone. Give me a call when you have a chance, man. I just want to chat with you. And send that video out. It's going to work 99% of the time.
Yeah, that's smart. That's what I mean by you're forward thinking, you're embracing all of this technology.
Yeah.
The old school mentality of call, talk to my secretary, leave a voice
Ah,
message, I'll get back to you. Good luck.
antiquated. Yeah.
Good luck. And I think that,
Yeah.
your sales domination system sounds like it's based on those forward thinking
Very
fundamentals.
progressive.
Yeah.
Very progressive.
Yeah. Progressive. That's a good word for it. Before we shift into the round on third base here, I want to ask you, what are some of the biggest, what are the biggest mistakes that you see today's salespeople making?
The biggest mistakes I see are the mistakes that they don't know that they're making. Because like anything, you don't know what you don't know. I was playing softball the other night with my church league. I'm at second base. I thought that I had him out at a force out. I caught the ball like successfully, but my foot like moved off the base and he continued to go and then came back to second base. And I didn't have it in me, like as a subconscious thought, to tag him out. So he stayed on the base. Salespeople don't know what they don't know if they don't practice and they're not studying. And so the number one mistake I could say is you're not good at sales. If you've been in sales for 5 years, you're not a good salesperson. You're just not. You have not gotten your 10,000 hours of time that it's going to take for you to become an expert. So stop walking around thinking that you don't smell. Stop thinking that you're the number one closer because you had a good month. Make sure that you always come from the thought that you're a student and that you can improve and get better. I would say that's been probably my number one attribute as a salesperson is I am always looking for something else that I can use. I'm always looking for a new weapon. I'm always looking for that new line. I'm always looking for something. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the best salesperson in the world because I'm not. But I'm going to continue growing. I'm better than a lot of people because I do study and I do practice and I do want to figure out what do I not know.
Yeah, I got an ADD question for you.
Yeah.
What's your bracelet say?
It says don't get weak.
Don't get weak. Constant reminder, huh? Constant reminder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it counterbalances the timepiece on the other hand, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're both got that blue going on. I kind of like it.
I like it. You're put together, man. You're put together. All right, very cool. So let's shift gears. I want to ask you my 2 signature questions.
Sure.
Right? I ask this of every guest. There's no wrong answer, but some answers are better than others. Okay. Nope. No.
I'm game.
Maybe a little bit of pressure. All right. Pretty simple. So, you click on your AirPods and you make a call, and on the other end of the line answers 18-year-old Jordan Stupar. You got a couple minutes with 18-year-old Super Stoops, right? What
Yep.
advice do you give to your younger self?
I would say what you want to be doing right now in your life is going to require a lot of time. Be patient. Trust the process. I would say trust the process. I think the thing that I've learned the most over the last 10 years or so, going from 20s to, getting a little bit older now at 32, is great things do take a lot of time. And so back in the day when I was 18, I was very involved in music. Chances are I could have maybe made something out of it. I don't know. It's one of those things I'll never know because I gave up. And so I would tell myself to pursue what I'm pursuing with tenacity, intensity, discipline, and just trust the process because sooner or later, what you want will pay off, but it's not going to happen quickly. There's just no such thing as an overnight success.
Pretty wise, man. Pretty wise. You're sounding old for your youth.
I'm getting old, man.
Good stuff.
Oh, and spend less time at the bar, younger Jordan.
Yeah, now those
less time at the bar, more time reading, dude. Come on.
Those are words. Those are also keywords of wisdom. All right. So question number 2. If I could grant you any superpower, which one would you choose and what would you do with it?
The ability to read people's minds. I usually want to say if I could fly or teleport, those would be awesome, but I don't think they're as self-serving as being able to read somebody's mind. If I had that ability and you granted me access to hear the communications going on in somebody else's head, I would use them for good. I would try to find the people that are maybe having negative self-talk, and I would just offer up a compliment. In a sales process, obviously, I would dominate those conversations, saying, "Hey, I know what you're thinking," you know, I think it'd be amazing if you could actually get inside somebody's head. But at the exact same time, you do have to identify the drawbacks, because people are probably got a lot of bad things to say, not only about where you're at, but probably about you. Can we actually handle the truth? That's the question.
You know, it's funny. You're amongst good people. You're amongst a good legion of people that have said they want to be able to read people's minds.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
I think that's the most popular answer. I have to go back and look, but and then the second one is this ability to cut down their travel time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean, teleporting would be awesome.
yeah. I mean, that's like keep your 550. I'm gonna just teleport.
Boom.
Right? Yeah, and I'm back and I'm here and I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So speaking of teleporting, if you could teleport 5 years, let's just say 8 years, because I know that's going to be a magical mark for you. 8 years
There
from
you go.
now, yeah, what are you doing? What's the company look like? What are you doing?
Oh, the projections like that have always been difficult for me since working in Miami, because things can change so fast. They can go up and down really fast. But if I had it my way and I could project into the universe where I see myself in 8 years, I'd say that I've got the company doing $500 to $800 million a year. I'd really like to be somebody that is more educated on business practices and strategies rather than just you know, a salesperson. I know I have a lot to grow in that area. Honestly, the thing that I want the most out of making money or whatever is I really want to start a nonprofit called the Underdog Project. And I really want to help fund the dreams of people that don't have the resources for themselves to do so. Particularly people that are being held down by other vindictive people that have more resources, you know, similar to a position I'm in right now. And because I feel for those people. And if money can solve those problems, then somebody out there with the money should be able to help out. And so it's on my heart to do something along those lines. That'd probably be my passion project, is just being able to help other people that are in circumstances that I've been in. Because if I can carry my weight and my burden throughout those years and amass the success that I do want in my own life, I can sure as hell show other people how to do it as well. And so that's awesome. And also I'd like to have about 12 to 13 Porsche 911s and a professional racing license.
In that order, hopefully.
Yeah, so, something like that.
Yeah, that's cool. You know, and not to digress because we can, but that Porsche is it's an interesting vehicle to drive. You know, it's sophisticated and it's a little bit, you know, it's responsive. It's you don't realize.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, people don't realize you can't just go from driving a Z28 to a GT3 and think they're the skills transfer. They don't.
No. I'm on the second entry level vehicle that Porsche makes for the 911, and it's a lot of car, and literally will go further than my own you know, limitations in my brain for taking turns and blah blah blah. And the racing license part of what I just said is something that I want, so that I can actually understand what these vehicles are actually designed to do. Because it's not just to look cool. I don't drive a Porsche to be like, hey, look at me, I drive a Porsche, or else I'd get something else, a little bit more loud, if you will. But I'm obsessed with Porsche because of their motorsports success. They're the most winning manufacturer of race cars in the history of the world. And I think that nobody else does it better than them. And I like that they're quirky with the engine in the back of the car and all this stuff. It just shouldn't be that way, but they've out-engineered physics. Like, it's crazy. So I just have a lot of respect for the company. That's why I think I'm a genuine fan of them. And yeah, I mean, we could talk about racing all day and the capabilities you need to have as a driver, so on and so forth. It's all fascinating to me because every single thing matters.
Love it, man. Love it. Appreciate you being on the show today. And thanks for your motivation. I know that you're a leader amongst your peers, no matter where you are, whether you're in Miami, New York, Milwaukee, Punta Cana. Was that what they call it? They call it
Punta Cana.
that a humble brag? Punta Cana. Clearly, I'm not there. But no, I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate taking the time to come on. And I probably can say thanks on behalf of all of the people that you've been able to interact with thus far in your life. And I'm sure that we all wish you great success and fortune, both now and
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and as we say here on the Awesome Wholesaler Experience podcast, Jordan, it's about the journey.
Yep.
So we wish you well on yours. I do look forward to seeing you again soon. And a
Thank
huge
you so much.
You got it, buddy. A huge thank you to everyone for tuning in today. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and even that little notifications bell to make sure that you know the next time that an episode gets dropped and you don't miss out on any good episodes or great ones like this with Jordan. Do look forward to seeing him again and watching him continue to rise to the top. Hey, we're on a mission this summer to get 1,000 new subscribers, and we appreciate your help and helping us do that. So if you like the show, please subscribe and even share it to maybe your colleagues or friends that you might also think would gain some value from it. Thanks again, everybody, for supporting the show. Excuse me. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, as always, thanks for being awesome. Good night, everybody.